Hello guys, we are from Group 4, will represent our discussions today about economic development planning, policies, and strategies with the member is Ega Permana Tanjung, Putri Oktaviani, and Sefni Novitas Sari. Check it out! Some of the basic consideration for policy choices include improvement of income distributions, monetary policy, fiscal policy, price policy in development. What policy approaches are taken for developing and developed countries, and how developed countries help developing countries through population programs and improvement of income distributions. First, the government of through the APBN, which has its allocation functions, rise to allocate funds for regions that are considered to be still imbalanced. Second, expanding business opportunities and access to productive resources in unequal areas. Then, facilitate assets ownership and promote financial inclusions in unequal areas. Third, the less developed areas are developed and empowered by the surrounding community, so income rise and inequality can be resolved. Monetary policy types of monetary policy based on objectives. First, expansive monetary policy. This policy aims to increase the amount of money in the economy by lowering interest rates, buying government securities by central banks, and lowering reserve requirements for banks. The overall objectives of expansionary monetary policy is to promote economic growth. Second, contractive monetary policy. The purpose of contractionary monetary policy is to reduce the money supply in the economy. This can be achieved by raising interest rates, selling government bonds, and increasing reserve requirements for banks. The contraction policy is used when the government wants to control the inflation rate.
Monetary policy instrument. First, open market operation policy. Policies taken by the central bank to reduce or increase the amount of money currently circulating in the public by purchasing or selling Bank Indonesia certificates. Second, discount policy. Discount are the government reduce or increase the money supply by increase or decrease commercial bank interest rates. The third is cash reserves policy. The central bank can make regulation to increase or decrease cash reserves. And then fiscal policy. Types of fiscal policy. First, expansive fiscal policy. Expansion is issued when conditions in the middle country are in weak economic growth. And then, to stimulate economic growth, a government can implement two policies. First, reducing tax and increase state spending. The second, contractive fiscal policy. The contradictionary type policy is issued when a country economy is getting warmer, with its characteristic by high inflation rates and low currency exchange rates. Its implementation is to reduce expenditure and increase income, one of which is by applying high tax until later economic conditions return to stability. Fiscal policy is seen from the amount of revenue and expenditure. Balanced fiscal policy is a policy that makes the amount of revenue and expenditure equal. The fiscal surplus policy is the amount of income that must be higher than expenditure. This policy is a way to avoid inflation. Fiscal deficit policy is a policy where the amount of expenditure must be higher than income. One of the advantage of this policy is to overcome the sluggishness and depression of economic growth. Dynamic fiscal policy is to provide revenue that can be used to meet increasing government needs over time.
price policy in development. 1. Selling price is a policy of setting the highest retail price for an item and to protect consumer in development. 2. Floor price is a policy of setting the lowest retail price for an item and to protect producer under construction. What policy approach are taken for developing and developed countries? The policy approach that can be taken is the international communication and information approach. With the international approach to communication and information, it makes it easier for the public to find out what is in all parts of the world from developed countries to developing countries. Developed countries are able to dominate developing countries with the strength and abilities possessed by developed countries. The harmony between developed countries and developing countries become a bridge to grow the economy in developing countries. How developed countries help developing countries through population program. Developed countries provide population exchange within a certain period to developing countries. As youth in developing countries can study in developed countries because of the exchange of population, so that the quality and scale of the population in developing countries can continue to increase. So that this is the way developed countries help developing countries through population programs.